Hello, MCU fans. Today we're going to break down the latest amazing Quantumania trailer that just dropped. It's probably the last trailer we're going to get before the movie comes out, although there'll probably be a few TV spots here and there. So let's dive right in and break down all the crazy reveals from the latest Quantumania trailer. Now, one thing I think the trailer does is really reinforce this theory I've got that lost time with Cassie is a big factor in how Kang is able to manipulate Scott to get him to do what he wants him to do in the movie, basically the heist to get that device. Because at the beginning of the trailer, we see Scott getting a call from Cassie, and he still has that cute picture of her, probably circa Ant-Man 1 time frame, because he just remembers all the time that he lost with her when she was young. A lot of it because he was in jail and stuck in the quantum realm, right? And then we even find out that in present day, he loses some time because Cassie's now the one who gets to stay in jail. Now, my guess is that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, and that in the same way that Scott really wasn't a bad person, he just hated corporate greed and did some Robin Hood tactics, you wonder if Cassie's doing the same type of stuff, if she's doing something to help others but just got herself sideways with the law. Be very interesting to see, why she ended up in jail. But this idea of lost time is really reinforced by two scenes that they show back-to-back in the trailer. We see Scott hugging young Cassie from the birthday party in Ant-Man 1, and it dissolves into Scott hugging Cassie in present day in the quantum realm. Yeah, he really has lost a lot of time, and Kang says, I can give you more. I can give you a second chance. And think about just how much time they've lost. I mean, he was in jail for 3 years, right before Ant-Man, for those Robin Hood tactics, if you remember. Then in Ant-Man and the Wasp, we learn he was on home detention for 2 years because of what he did in Civil War, which granted he still got to see Cassie, but it's not quite the same. And then, of course, he was completely out of the picture for 5 years stuck in the quantum realm. So that is 10 years of her 18 years that Scott's either been completely gone or stuck, on home detention. That's a bummer. I mean, that really, really affects him and leads to him wanting more time with her. And it really shows why this moment of just joy and shock for both of them occurred in Endgame when he finally got to see her again and he realized he lost all this time with her. And by the way, side note, it is true that Emma Fuhrmann obviously is not playing Cassie in Quantumania. It's now Catherine Newton. But I have had a couple of people throw out some crazy theories. One is, well, that's easy. She's a Skrull. Okay. I mean, it's possible. I doubt it, but sure, I'll go with that. Another person said, oh, no, it's even easier. In Quantumania, it's a variant of Cassie from Endgame. Well, bottom line, I think the simplest answer is they wanted a bigger name actress, and poor Emma Fuhrmann, they just swapped her out, which is too bad. I thought she was great in Endgame, but alas, Cassie's going to be awesome regardless, and I think Catherine Newton is going to do a fantastic job. All right, so also in the trailer, we get a great look at Kang. We see him both with his mask on, and then as he takes it off, we still see, it's kind of cool, that little blue glow in his eyes. I mean, I just can't help but wonder if there's not something going on there, if maybe some of the energy that is created by his mask is flowing through him, potentially. So who knows where they're going to go with all this, but man, he really looks cool. And wow, his army. My goodness. I mean, the things he could do with a group that big of soldiers. And is it just me, or do they look like Mysterio? I mean, I wondered where Jake Gyllenhaal went after being Mysterio in Far From Home. Obviously, he went to the quantum realm with 1,000 of his variants, and they're working hard with Kang. But yeah, his army looks amazing. And his costume just simply looks amazing. I was a little worried, how it would translate into real life, but here's a closer look of it, and you can just see the detail is amazing. But if you think about, kind of how silly it looked in the comics, they had some hard work cut out to get that costume to look good. It's funny, when I read the comics, I never thought it was silly. I thought it was cool. But you just think about what that would look like if they translated it directly into real life. Yeah. Wouldn't work. So I'm glad they made him look really cool. Can't wait to see more of Kang in Quantumania. All right, speaking of reveals, we also get our first look at M.O.D.O.K. And so I thought I would start with just stressing M.O.D.O.K has always looked, a little weird, or maybe really weird, even in the Hulu series. Yeah, really weird. So it makes sense that in the trailer, yes, he looks a little derpy. I mean, what else do you do with a giant head, right? I admit I liked him a lot better in the trailer with the mask down. I hope he spends most of the time doing that. But I'm glad they had at least a little peek of him with his mask up, because this really goes to this theory people have been floating that it's Darren Cross from the first Ant-Man movie, Yellow Jacket. I mean, that actor's face, or whatever that is in the upper left-hand corner, but it looks like Corey Stoll. Man, that would be really cool if it turned out that he didn't die and got instead mangled and sucked into the quantum realm, and poor dude, that's what he looks like now, right? And there was even a little Easter egg in Loki during the Void episode, if you remember. We saw a giant Yellow Jacket mask. Isn't that interesting? And we saw it next to, of all things, the Avengers Tower that had been renamed Kang Tower, if you remember. So yeah, maybe it all ties together, right? And it's going to be our old friend Darren Cross back again. I guarantee you, though, it is not me. I did dress up in an egg costume and had a big cranium, but I no, and I would gladly do it if they'd asked me. But no, the only time is the video. You can watch it on the channel if you want. But yeah, those are my only days in a giant egg costume. I swear. All right, so really the biggest question is, what is the purpose of this device that Kang wants Scott to steal? And in fact, why can't Kang get it himself? Maybe he doesn't want to get killed and thinks Scott's going to get killed, or maybe something Scott can do that Kang couldn't. But anyway, look at the inscriptions on this. Don't they look like things we've seen throughout Phase 4? In fact, from the earlier trailers, look at the blue lighting on the rings. I mean, this looks very much like some of the MacGuffins we've seen throughout Phase 4. For example, the bangles. You know, I know people have made this analogy before, that it definitely looks like the bangles, but here's what I think is really interesting. Consider that the bangles allowed Kamala to travel through time. And I'll admit, I didn't really like that, especially because it allowed her to change the past and it altered the future. Granted, it was a closed loop situation, so it didn't technically break the rules of Endgame, I guess, but I really didn't like it. It confused me. However, I will really like it if it turns out that what that was is this is how Kang himself is able to go back in time. Remember, Janet in the trailer says he can rewrite existence and shatter timelines. What if the bangles are how he's able to do that? Only for him, it's not creating a closed loop. He knows how to use them and manipulate time and actually rewrite things. Boy, it makes you wonder about Secret Wars and whether I did a video on whether it's going to be a soft or hard reboot. And boy, if he has the ability to rewrite time, man, it's going to get interesting. Also consider that those rings that we saw, especially in that first trailer, look an awful lot like Shang-Chi's 10 rings. And remember, they were calling out to something in the end credit scene to Shang-Chi. We still don't know what they were calling out to. I kind of wondered if it was to the Eternals, if somehow they were tied to the Eternals or some alien race. Maybe it's tied to the quantum realm. But here's what's really interesting. Think about the 10 rings and the fact that they let Wen-Wu control time. What I mean by that is he aged so slowly that he's lived for centuries. So even the 10 rings have something to do with time. It's a different form of time. The bangles let her do a closed loop going in the past, and the 10 rings let him defy time. Very, very interesting. So this stuff may all come together, and I will really, really like the Easter eggs Marvel's been dropping if this has been their plan all along. Also in the trailer, we see Scott literally turning into himself, a variant, presumably, real time in the same location. So not a branch like we would have seen in Endgame where it created a new reality. He literally created a Nexus event, I guess? I don't know. That's what's so fascinating about this. But not a Nexus event that created a new universe. I mean, in Loki, obviously, it created all these new universes. But we see in Endgame, in Quantumania, the trailer, that they're all in the same location fighting each other. It's crazy. Now, another possibility is, remember in Endgame, how we saw poor Scott being sent back in time and coming back as a baby, as a kid, and then as an old dude. And Tony said that you sent you accidentally traveled time through Lang instead of Lang through time. So they literally traveled time through Lang. Is that what's happening in Quantumania? Is somehow time giving us a bunch of different versions of him in that regard? Who knows, right? But really, really cool. Something crazy is going on. I can't wait to see more of where it's all going. But My guess is that once Scott delivers this device to Kang and maybe shrinks it down, I assume, because he has the ability to do that, that's what powers his device. That's what finally lets him get out of the quantum realm and control his time device. So, yeah, so much to unpack, so many theories, so many things to consider. Can't wait for the movie to come out and learn where this is all going. Also, boy, oh boy, do we get some major throwdown fights in this movie. I mean, Kang just literally stomping on Ant-Man's mask. We get this view from inside the mask of the foot coming down. And then presumably, that's Ant-Man's mask that's been crushed. Now, knowing Marvel, they might be misdirecting, and maybe that's Wasp's mask. Because some people have wondered if we're going to lose Wasp in Quantumania. Or maybe Hank or Janet. Who knows? But either way, major, major fights. And then this scene where Kang has wrapped his arm around Scott's neck in a headlock. Man, crazy. Of course, that's the same scene where Scott then says that I don't have to win. We both just have to lose. Great line. That's the line of the whole trailer. But yeah, some major physical combat going on. And one last thing to throw out. Boy, oh boy, do I need to start working out. I need to do less videos and spend more time in the gym because I want biceps like that. Goodness, Jonathan Majors, you're a monster, man. It's amazing. I love it. Anyway, there you go. Those are some of the biggest things that I took away from the trailer. It's going to be fantastic. Cannot wait to get my tickets and go see the movie. And oh, hey, if you haven't joined the Discord server, I will leave a comment down, a pinned comment with a link to join the server. A lot of folks have joined from the channel. It's been a lot of fun. We actually did a live watch of the trailer together on a voice channel. It was a blast. So go out there and join if you haven't already. And like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we can all continue to enjoy the ever-growing, ever-evolving Marvel Cinematic Universe.